Our pal Greg Auman from Fox Sports. He's got the lights in the background because he's a superstar. What's going on, buddy? How are you?
I'm good. I'm here in the press conference room. It's like the quietest place to find.
Nice, man. That works. I'm in 212. Like I'm by where this place sounds. It's nuts here. Usually during Tampa Bay Lightning games, they won't let me in the bowl. They won't let me because there's so many different things going on here at the arena as media day is wrapped up today. It's been a long day here at the building. I guess the big news there today was Cody Mauch not practicing. And Ian and I were talking about it on Monday night. He kept saying, Mauch looks like he's banged up. Mauch's like he's limping around. And I'm just like, he's like Jameis. He walks like that. I'm just trying to make him feel better. But I mean, where's the level of concern with the team, Greg, not having possibly the only guy that knew exactly what his position was going to be going into the game last week, being available possibly for the game against the Jets?
Yeah, it was a patchwork line like 2 injuries ago. So Mauch was the only guy that was like unbothered, wasn't out of position or stepping up into a role he's not used to. So no, it's just a walkthrough today. So the fact that he's not there is concerning, but doesn't necessarily rule him out. I think they've done this a couple times now where guys have even missed 2 days of practice and they come back on Friday and they're fine. So the curiosity and the tough part is that there's not a lot of experience behind. I mean, they're already going to the practice squad for one starting job right now, with 2 guys out of position. So if Cody can't go on Sunday, I mean, it's Elijah Klein, who has, I think, 9 snaps in the NFL on offense in his career, or Luke Haggard, who hasn't played a snap in the NFL, or it'd be Ben Chakuma, who's a tackle who's played like 10 snaps of special teams in the last 2 weeks. They'll get by, but it's tricky, and it's one of those where the Jets aren't an amazing defensive front, but especially up the middle, they got some really good defensive linemen up the middle. So that would make life harder for whoever's in there, whether it's an injured Cody Mauch or an inexperienced substitute there.
Yeah, I think I might be buying some stock on Quinnen Williams this week if that's, if we don't see any Cody Mauch on Sunday. What's the possibility we see Tristan Wirfs on Sunday, Greg?
I don't expect it. We asked Bowles today if like Luke Gedeke being out creates an urgency that wasn't there before, where, if the line is down one more starter, in theory, if it were close on Wirfs, maybe you'd do that. Today, again, it's just a walkthrough. Today, he's still working on the side. He still looks like somebody who's a couple weeks away. When we talked to Tristan, I mean, Bowles kind of had that deal where he said that Wirfs was in play for the Texans game last week. And then we went to Wirfs, and Tristan's like, no, the only thing we really talked about is week 5. I think he can rationalize week 4 because it's the Eagles,
right.
And knowing that he won't be at full go and his knee would be tired, if you will, his leg would be tired at the end of the game. But I think that they want to win all these games. You have a chance to open up at home and get a win. You want to do that, but not at the expense of getting Wirfs back full go and knowing that once he's back, he's healthy and can go the rest of the way.
So Nick Chubb's running, and I'm yelling, "Let him go! Let him go! Let him go!" And the Buccaneers, whether they say it or not, definitely let him go. And I know I know a bunch of people have been asking. Antoine Winfield Jr., I saw your tweet was grinning. I mean, they'll let him. It's not something you want to admit, right, Greg? Because it's kind of like a slippery slope type of thing. If they lose, and you know what I mean, you go, well, they could have missed a kick. Guys miss, gimmies all the time. But I mean, judging by it, just seems like it was a well-calculated move, and they got the ball back in 3 timeouts, right?
It worked exactly the way you wanted to. I don't think it was as simple as like, hey, let him in, but it would make sense. They're at the 25-yard line, right? Mm-hmm. So for me, if you can get him into a holding penalty, if you can get a sack, they're now in a questionable field goal range. But I think it makes a lot of sense to say, if they get through the line, if they get through the initial line of scrimmage, do not tackle them inside the 10-yard line. You gain nothing by doing that, because all you're doing is letting them take off your timeouts, bleed it under a minute, and hit a chip shot field goal for the lead. You don't want to choose that outcome. So I thought, again, whether they specifically did it or accidentally did it, it worked well, and it played out exactly the way you would want. Once you get to that point where you have an opponent at the 25-yard line with 2 minutes and change to go.
Greg, how do they deal with the whole injury to Calijah Kancey? Obviously we live in a world where it's the fantasy football world. Just trade for this guy and sign this guy and give Ndamukong Suh and his financial advisor give a call. I think it's a lot more realistic to maybe bring a guy like Will Golston back, right? Because I don't think he hasn't officially retired. He's coaching high school football against Eccles last week. So I think it's much more realistic to elevate a guy internally, or maybe sign a veteran that's going to be part of the numbers equation rather than insert starting D tackle here. Do you agree with that sentiment? And are there any other names that you're thinking?
Yeah, I do. And the thing again, like losing Kancey is a significant loss and somebody they need and absolutely, build around in the middle of that defense. But I mean, just as a point of reference, like 5 years ago, okay, Vita Vea breaks his ankle in Chicago. That's Vita Vea gone what they think is for the year when you have Brady as a quarterback, and you certainly have big postseason aspirations. And their counter move to that was to trade a 7th round pick for Steve McClendon, who nobody in town knew. Again, helped them out, but again, it wasn't go get Christian Wilkins. It wasn't trade for Dexter Lawrence. Okay. It was to go out and get a locker room guy who would give you experience, veteran depth, take half the snaps you lost to help you out, and move from there. So yeah, I do think it's even though it's hard, this is kind of the Moneyball thing where they have to try and replace Kancey in the aggregate. Okay. There's not one guy that's going to come in and do what he did, but it's probably like 3 guys that'll be asked to do that. I think Logan Hall, who's already starting, probably plays more, takes on an extra 10 snaps a game. Elijah Roberts, who again is just a rookie, had a half sack on Monday night, has kind of looked promising. His workload probably doubles. He probably goes from being a rotational 5th to now a 4th, and a guy that's in multiple different packages. He's a guy that can put all over the front. And then it's probably somebody for the practice squad, whether it's a CJ Brewer or an Adam Gotsis or one of these guys that aren't on the 53, but have certainly played enough to where they're experienced enough to come in and get 15 snaps. And they got to try and make do with that. I mean, Greg Gaines had a sack Monday night.
He looked good. Well. He had a good game Monday night, man.
Gaines was getting after it. And Gaines is one of those where there's some guys who are effortless when they're chasing the quarterback, and Gaines looks like he's running absolutely as fast as he can. It's a cool thing. He's a shorter guy, but got there. I mean, just got a sack and had another play where he flushed. I mean, he dove and took a swipe, and I think it resulted in just a pressure and a throw out of bounds. But again, that's one of those where now you probably have some more looks where it's Vea next to Gaines, and you have both bigs in there at the same time. They have a guy on their practice squad named Jason Jones, who is just massive. He's like 335. They got him off the Ravens' last cuts. And he's a guy that I think, again, maybe not this week, but eventually will work into their rotation. So it's the sexy answer would be, again, they're signing Christian Wilkins. He's happy to come in and he's healthy and he's not going to be a locker room problem and all those things. I think it's probably something more understated. You mentioned, I mean, Will Golston honestly would make sense just because he's kind of in that body type, knows this defense well, lives in town. Logistically, you don't know where he is physically just because he hasn't had to practice in 9 months. But Will, he'd love to come back. He would be ready to go on Monday or Sunday and right back at it again.
Greg, when you're in the locker room after a win like that over Houston, we've been in successful locker rooms before, big wins, sad losses. Well, I just feel like that was a game that proved the Buccaneers are like I said before. This is one of those games where you understand when you lose a divisional game, right? You understand when you lose certain games and you go up and it's a heavyweight contest, you lose 38-35. But when and I don't want to say they didn't have anything to play for, but those are the type of games that you're going on the road, you're undermanned, it's a primetime game. It's historically, for some reason, you're not good in primetime games. It was like, hey, this is an opportunity to show maturation for a team. And I thought that they were able to do that. When you get the sense of like the vibe of this team, and I know they're a confident group, but what makes them different? And I know it's only 2 games, but what can you see as far as their growth? What can you see as far as possibly maybe something that's different than what we saw just last year?
Yeah, I mean, like Baker talked about how like those close games last year didn't necessarily go their way. They had a couple overtime losses where they didn't even get the ball. Had games that slipped away. And honestly, I mean, the easy one to reference is 2 years ago in Houston against the Texans, where, again, back and forth game, Baker throws a touchdown to Cade Otton that would have been one of the better plays we'd still be talking about. I think he did it with 46 seconds left. And then the defense can't close it. And Stroud on that same field against the same defense goes all the way down the field, touchdown with 6 seconds left, game over. Mike Evans talked about how again, he doesn't let many losses sit with him, right? You kind of just 24 hours later move on. That's one that hit him hard. That's his home. That's where you want to have everybody that shows up for you see you get the win. So I thought it was really neat for them that they flipped things on Monday night. And when things went completely wrong with the block punt, with the big punt return, you give up like 9 points in 3 minutes or whatever it was. And then just like that, they go 80 yards and they score with 6 seconds left and they get exactly what they wanted. So I think the locker room was really cool in that there wasn't this like ridiculous elation and celebration. I think they were pleased they won and know that close road wins are hard to get sometimes. And the cool thing is that you could tell Bulls got to them because they're 2-0 for the 5th year in a row. Everybody you talk to, if you mention 2-0, he's like, well, we've lost the 3rd game 4 years in a row. Like they know, hey, that's me, but it's ended right here 4 years in a row. So I think they want very much to stop celebrating this win and try and get ready for another one and flip the page and turn to the Jets and being home. And, to go 2-0 on the road to start a season, it's not often the league does that to you, to make you go 2 tough games in a row on the road. But if you do that, now you're in this cool place where whatever 9 of their 15 or whatever it is are at home.
Yeah.
That helps. So if you can get past that, I think they recognize that you've set yourself up for a little easier slate the rest of the way.
Yeah, for me, that's why I was so bullish on them going into the season, just because of the schedule. People want to talk about the middle of the season the last 2 years and like, well, they took this swoon and, some people want to blame Todd. I'm like, it wasn't unexpected. Like, we all looked at the schedule the last 2 years, like, this is going to be the hard part. I mean, was it last year, the year before, they played the last 4 teams that were in the AFC and the NFC championship games.
4 in a row.
Yeah, and it doesn't it coincides with losing Godwin and Evans. What do you think was going to happen? Before I let you go, I want to ask you about one of the concerns that I have, or 2 of the concerns I have. I want to ask you about SirVocea Dennis, because he's another guy that, if there's one thing he can do, guys, he can cover. Okay. Well, I really haven't seen that too much so far, but dude, he's not wearing that on his jersey. Like, this dude is still sticking his nose in there. He's contributing via the blitz, but I mean, part of the reason why everybody was so hyped up is because he was able to do that. And then also YaYa Diaby. I feel like YaYa's a guy where I'm just getting to the point, Greg, where I'm a little sick of everybody telling me how great he is at pressures. Like, it's just like it's an horseshoes and hand grenades kind of discussion with YaYa Diaby all the time. And it's like, I know what pressures can lead to. I've followed this game my entire life. But at the end of the day, like, you don't get paid for pressures. You get paid for sacks. You got to bring the guy down. And I thought he was pretty non-existent in the game against Houston. At least when Hassan Reddick is doing stuff, you can see, like, he's drawing holding penalties. Not saying YaYa doesn't do that, but Hassan's, you can see his contributions a little bit better. Talk me off the ledge when it comes to SirVocea and YaYa.
Yeah. First with Dennis, I mean, I think it's neat. Like, Bowles unfailingly is protecting and backing SirVocea and making it clear they believe in him. He's been productive. I think there's 2 plays early that have made him really look bad and kind of put a bad taste in your mouth. That Bijan touchdown against Atlanta, where again, just kind of ran around him. And Bowles kind of helps him out and says, you got out athleted there, right? But again, there's angles and there's putting yourself in position. You know that guy's faster than you. You can't let him go around you, if you will. And basically the same thing happened with Woody Marks with the Texans back early in that game, where there was a screen pass that he just pulled away. And I mean, you see SirVocea Dennis running after him, but he's not getting him. And it was probably 25-yard gain, maybe something like that. So I think he's given up a lot of yards in pass coverage. I think it hasn't been the middle of the field was such a liability for the Bucs last year, especially after Dennis was gone, that I think it's been more on flares down the outside, just people he's been trailing in coverage. But again, like Breece Hall, really fast back, good pass catching back, could do it again on Sunday.
Right.
Absolutely. So I think they feel like Dennis is still working out the kinks. I think they're going to be patient with him. I think they brought in Deion Jones for like 2 snaps on Monday night.
Made a big play at the end.
Yeah, no, he did. The Dennis thing is definitely something to watch, just because that you think about how much time we spent this spring projecting them to take a linebacker in the first round. I'm watching Jahad Campbell on Sunday in Kansas City. Jahad Campbell looks like the guy everybody thought he would be as the best linebacker in this draft class. Didn't draft a linebacker at all. Didn't really sign anyone. They signed Anthony Walker, who didn't even make the cut. So that's putting all your chips to the middle of the table into SirVocea Dennis. And again, they do that because they believe in him. They're doing the same thing with Tyke Smith. They believe in their own. He just hasn't shown up yet and needs to. I think he has 19 tackles. He has a fair amount of tackles. It's just he's gotten beaten on some plays.
Right.
You asked about YaYa Diaby. Same thing there. Again, Diaby, if anything, you wondered if having Hassan Reddick, if the indirect benefit of Hassan Reddick being who he is on the opposite side would free up YaYa Diaby to now not have to be the best rusher in every play. He should be the beneficiary of that, be getting one-on-ones, be getting the quarterbacks. And he hasn't yet. It's not to say he won't. I mean, but they're, from a sack standpoint, you look at their sacks Monday night, okay? I don't think there were any rush ends. I mean, I think it was Gaines. It was Elijah Roberts split with Levante David. It was Tyke Smith.
Yeah.
You're getting 3 sacks. You don't really care where they're from, but you'd like to have the bread and butter of your sack production be your edge rushers on the outside. They'll have a chance to do that Monday with the Jets. I think Diaby is a guy who, if again, the pressures work in his favor, those numbers help him. But like you said, man, you're a sack artist. Okay. It comes down to if YaYa gets to double-digit sacks, if he just gets 10-5 or something, he's going to win over a lot of people. He might be the same guy over 900, 800 snaps in a season, but if you just make those 10 plays, okay?
Right.
Reddick's the same way, man. Reddick wants sack fumbles. He doesn't just want sacks. So they have no takeaways as a defense in 2 weeks. That's what they're supposed to be much better at this year. This is where they were going to take a step forward. They've won 2 games, and I think their defense has been a big part of it. I don't think they've won because of their defense. Again, there's no short fields. There's no defensive touchdowns. There's no game. That 4th down stop, everybody, Baker going 80 yards in 2 minutes is all we wrote about. But, I mean, you can write a lot about 4th and 1, Houston being a yard away from taking the lead and in the 4th quarter, and the Bucs stopping them 3 times. I mean, not just 1, 3 times from the 1. And you stop them on 2nd down when they run the ball. That's what takes away their confidence. You'd think, man, you got Nick Chubb. You run Nick Chubb 3 times from the 1. You'd think you're going to get in. But Vea stuffs him enough on 2nd down.
They got scared.
They're calling pass plays.
They got scared.
Yeah. So anyway, like I said, this defense, I think, can take a big step forward this season. Probably hasn't shown up that obviously in the first 2 games, but definitely can here in the next couple weeks.
The great Greg Auman, Fox Sports. Check him out at Greg Auman. Greg, always appreciate your time making our show the whole heck of a lot better. I'll see you on Sunday, buddy. Thank you.
Thanks, Jay. Have a good one.
You got it, buddy. Greg Auman.